Time froze around her, and her heart clenched as her eyes met the figure standing before her. Both of them stood paralyzed, even the one standing at a distance, finally realizing he had pulled the trigger on his own older brother. Jungkook slowly extended his hand, his gaze fixed on the blood soaking through his shirt from the wound in his abdomen. His body began to collapse forward. She rushed to catch him, her trembling hands barely managing to hold him as they both sank to the ground. Pulling him into her arms, she wept, her voice breaking as she spoke. I told you. I warned you to stay away. I bring nothing but misfortune. I told you I didn't deserve you, that you'd get hurt because of me. I told you I am the sin itself. And I told you I adore that sin, he whispered with a faint, exhausted smile, his voice barely audible as he reached up, trembling, to wipe the tears that wouldn't stop streaming down her face. Baby, please don't leave me. I'm begging you. Blame me for everything, for hiding all my troubles. Punish me, scold me, but don't punish me by leaving. Don't burn the heart that only lives for you. You'll be okay, I promise. Just hang in there, she sobbed. Lifting her head, she spotted one of the maids running toward them, panic and fear written across her face. Call an ambulance! What the hell are you staring at? Laura screamed, her voice hoarse and wild from crying, before turning back to him just as his eyes fluttered shut, intensifying her terror. No, Jungkook. Don't close your eyes. Please, baby, stay with me. Don't give up, she begged, gently slapping his cheek in desperation. Still with his eyes closed, he managed a faint smile. His bloody hand reached out, barely finding hers. If I don't make it, I want you to know, you are the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me. The one my heart loved the most. You are my whole life, Laura, he whispered with great difficulty, before his hand slipped from hers, falling lifelessly to the ground. She froze in place, refusing to believe what had just happened, trying to convince herself this was nothing more than one of her suffocating nightmares. She began to call his name, hoping to rouse him from the darkness, but he didn't respond. And then her scream tore through the silence, echoing through the night.
The sudden commotion caused by Laura's cries soon drew a crowd around them, their faces a mix of shock and anguish as they saw the horrific scene before them. Damn it! Call an ambulance! Now! Laura sobbed, cradling her lover's lifeless body in her arms, refusing to let anyone else touch him. Laura clung to his body, refusing to let go even as the paramedics loaded him into the ambulance. As they began to treat his wounds, panic gripped her. She couldn't be apart from him, her whole world reduced to those precious last moments they'd just shared. She sat there for hours, silently crying as she held his unresponsive hand, begging for just a small squeeze, a sign that he was still there, holding on. The sterile environment of the hospital only heightened her fear, the beeping of the machines the only sound that broke the silence. Her mind raced with regrets and questions, each one heavier than the last. Why hadn't she told him everything? She closed her eyes, reliving every moment they'd shared. She recalled the sound of his laughter and the way his hands felt on her skin, wishing they'd had more time. As guilt washed over her, she whispered through her tears, "Please, baby, don't leave me. Hang on for me, please." Hours turned to days as she refused to leave his side, praying for even the slightest sign of life. Every passing second was an agony for her, a reminder of the fragility of their love. The doctors had reassured her that they were doing everything they could, but each day that passed, without any improvement in his condition, eroded whatever sliver of hope she'd had left. She sat beside him, her eyes fixed on his still form, desperately hoping to see his eyes open, even just for a moment. As she waited, a knock on the door broke the silence, and a nurse walked in. "Miss Laura, could we speak with you for a moment?" Laura looked up, sensing the gravity in the nurse's tone. She reluctantly let go of his hand, her heart heavy with foreboding. The nurse led her into another room where the doctors were waiting, their expressions solemn. Laura's heart raced, bracing herself for what was to come. The lead doctor spoke, his voice gentle yet firm. "Miss Laura, we've done everything we could, but..." The words hung in the air, and the room fell silent. Confusion, then relief washed over Laura's face. "Are you saying he's okay? He's going to be all right?" The doctor nodded, a small smile on his face. "Yes, Miss Laura. Your boyfriend is stable. He's in a coma right now, but his vital signs are strong. It's a miracle, really." A flood of emotions overwhelmed Laura. Relief, gratitude, and a profound sense of hope. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. But how? I thought he was dying. "Miracles happen, Miss Laura," the doctor said. "Sometimes the human body can defy all odds. Your boyfriend is a fighter. His heart wants to keep beating. We'll continue to monitor him and do everything we can to help him heal." With tears streaming down her face, Laura rushed back to his side. She gently held his hand, her heart filled with an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The sound of the machines beeping rhythmically filled the room, a reminder that he was still here, still fighting. She sat vigil by his side, their connection stronger than ever before. Her fear and dread slowly ebbed away, replaced by a deep sense of hope and love. As the hours passed, Laura whispered words of love and encouragement, promising to be there for him no matter what. Days turned to weeks, and the hospital room grew familiar to Laura. She spent every waking moment with him, talking to him softly, sharing stories of the love they'd shared and the dreams they'd yet to fulfill. Throughout those long weeks, she noticed subtle changes. Sometimes his fingers would twitch slightly in response to her voice, and once she could have sworn he'd almost opened his eye. Her hope grew stronger with each passing day, her heart yearning for the moment when he would finally wake up, when he would recognize her voice and feel the touch of her hand in his again. One day, as she held his hand, she felt his fingers move ever so slightly, intertwining with hers. Her heart leaped with joy. "Baby, can you hear me?" she whispered, her voice filled with hope. His hand slowly tightened around hers, another small victory in his recovery. It was a sign, a small but meaningful gesture that gave her the reassurance she needed. She smiled, tears streaming down her face as she leaned in closer, her voice trembling. "Please, baby, come on. Wake up for me. I miss you so much." Just then she heard a faint sound, a soft groan that barely reached her ears. She held her breath, not sure if her mind was playing tricks on her. But then, it came again, louder and more clear. His eyes fluttered open, struggling to focus in the unfamiliar surroundings, before finally landing on her face. "Laura," he whispered, his voice hoarse and weak. She let out a sob, her emotions flooding through her. "Oh my God, you're awake," she managed to say between her sobs. He tried to speak again, but his throat was dry. She quickly grabbed a glass of water, gently placing the straw to his lips. He took a few sips, his muscles still weak from weeks of lying in a coma. As he rested against the pillows, Laura stayed by his side, holding his hand tightly, as if afraid he would slip away again. After a few moments, he attempted to speak once more, his voice barely above a raspy whisper. What? What happened? How long have I been out?" Laura took a deep breath, trying to keep her voice steady. "You've been in a coma for a few weeks. You were shot, remember?" His eyes widened as the memory came rushing back. He gently touched his abdomen where he'd been shot. "Oh, that's right. I remember now. And my brother." A cloud of sorrow overcame Laura, and she let out a heavy sigh. "He's gone, baby. I'm so sorry he didn't make it." He closed his eyes, processing the information. The pain of losing his brother settled heavily on his chest, but his focus remained on her. He reached out, grasping her hand tightly. "Laura, I need to tell you something." She leaned in closer, her full attention on him. "What is it, baby?" "You can tell me anything." He took a deep breath, his voice hoarse and filled with emotion. "Before I passed out, I remember telling you something. Do you remember what it was?" She nodded, her eyes welling up with tears. You told me. You told me that I was the most beautiful thing that ever happened to you. That I'm your whole life, and that your heart only lives for me." He smiled weakly, his gaze never leaving hers. "That's right. I meant every word, and I still do." He paused for a moment, his expression serious. "Laura, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. Something important." Her heart skipped a beat as curiosity mixed with anticipation. "What is it, baby? You can ask me anything." He took another deep breath, summoning his strength. "Laura, I know I can't offer you much right now. I'm lying in a hospital bed, weak and broken. But in the months we've spent together, I've known only one thing for sure. That you are the love of my life. Nothing and no one can take that away from me. So I'm asking you." Her voice trembled as anticipation built within her. "Yes, my love. Ask me." He locked his gaze with hers, his eyes filled with an intensity that spoke of unflinching determination. "I want to make you mine forever. Would you marry me?" Tears streamed down her face as joy and happiness overwhelmed her. "Yes, my love, I will marry you, in this life and the next. Nothing can keep us apart." Day was finally upon them, and Laura couldn't contain her excitement as she stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her dress and making sure her hair and makeup were just right. The sound of music drifting in from the garden filled the room, signaling that the guests were already taking their seats. Laura's sister, Lana, walked into the room, looking radiant in her bridesmaid dress. She took in Laura's nervous yet resplendent figure and smiled warmly. "Oh, look at you. You're absolutely gorgeous." Laura blushed, fiddling with the lace on her dress. "Thank you. I can't believe it's finally here." Lana gave her a reassuring squeeze on the arm. "You deserve this, Laura." And he's waiting for you out there, looking so in love he might pass out any moment. Laura chuckled through her nerves, trying to absorb her sister's words. God, I'm a mess. I've been dreaming about this day for as long as I can remember, but now that it's here, I feel like I'm gonna burst into tears the moment I walk out there. Lana reached out to gently brush a strand of hair out of Laura's face. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, but just remember, this is a celebration of your love. All you need to do is focus on him, and everything else will fade away. Laura gave her sister a weak smile, trying to steady her shaky breath. You're right. I just need to keep it together and walk down that aisle. I can do this. She took a deep breath, straightening her shoulders and lifting her chin, determination slowly replacing the nerves inside her.